Before we begin, it's that time. That's right. Sponsor mentions. Doer, you guys, is still back. That's right. Creates the world's most comfortable pants. Anybody wearing them?
Mm-hmm.
You are? Jackson is?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I wore mine yesterday.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. I was going to comment on your ass, Jackson, but that would be awkward.
Yeah.
Yep. I am your son.
A category of stretch performance denim and lifestyle apparel. What a world we live in that we can have stretch denim. I mean, wow. Magical time to be alive.
I don't own a lot of non-stretch denim.
I do still have some, and I regret them every day. Yeah. I mean, the ones I'm wearing are stretched now, but they're no doers. They don't have the gusset for doers to move comfortably from bike lane to boardroom to an evening out, all in a single pair of pants. I kid you not, you guys. We believe in these. ShopDoer.com today. Use the code Packfiller15 for your discount. You will not be upset with these pants. Scratch Labs, you guys. New recovery beverage flavor out. Strawberry... Pickle? Strawberries and cream.
Oh,
yeah. That's going to be...
I was guessing pickle.
Strawberry pickle?
Pickle. Yeah.
That's
interesting.
You're pregnant. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's going to be delicious. That one's coming out from our friends at Scratch Labs. Always innovating, always improving. Their chews have been tweaked, everything like that. ScratchLabs.com. Thanks for being a part of the show. Finally, you, the listener... Patron program is on the website. If you love the show, come support us. Get mentioned, get deals on Packfiller gear, early access to the show and our events, and help us take us to the next level of cycling entertainment. Click the link at packfiller.com. Hey, let's do this. That's low.
It usually comes in hot.
It does. Mm-hmm. But it's quieter what the folks at home are hearing. Mm-hmm. Kind of like a Waples brother.
Well, what are you talking about?
I'll never hear the end of that.
Yeah. I'm sorry to tell you, Mr. Bulger, you have I have what?
I said.
Well, the clocks have been changed. The forecast looking promising. Could it be time to detach from the trainers? Yes, I hope so. We're all crossing fingers here. Welcome to Life on Two Wheels. Welcome to the Packfiller. Just like a ride with friends, but one of them is an asshole, and we've got reduced assholes tonight. Yeah, that's a weird thing to say. I didn't have any Bleach references. You decide whom. I'll give you a little help. I'm Pat Bulger. Let's meet the panel tonight, you guys. When I introduce you, please let us know what song has recently been in your head that you cannot get rid of. Could be as early as today. All right, first off, he's the guy who probably believes that FTP should just stand for F that pedal.
I like that.
Mr. Paul Maine. Notice I didn't swear, though. I'm still working on that. How are you, man?
Good.
You got any song other than this wonderfully catchy theme in your head?
Well, my wife and I have been waxing sentimental of, the innocent days of the 70s, and we took the dog for a walk today, and we went where she grew up in the house, and we were talking about how things seemed to be simpler back in the 70s. Yeah. So we listened to 70s music when we got home, and if you like pina coladas,
Rupert Holmes.
I hated that.
Did you really?
But I don't mind it now because it's attached to
the
I hated
whole
it at the
concept of the song is a guy who's cheating on his woman, and she's cheating on him, and then they find out they're each absolute assholes, and they're like, "Oh, it's you." I never knew.
You liked walking
pina
in the
coladas
rain.
and getting caught in the rain. Hell, man! You don't look at somebody in a bar called O'Malley's and suddenly say, "Hey, you're a cheating asshole." So are you?
That's right.
Fuck. There, he did it. Screw you. No, screw you. No, screw you. I'm out of here. Okay, there we go. I was planning on David Waples, so he's the guy who knows he talks softly, but is working on it. There we go. He's not here, but neither is Sam Waples. Sam Waples is the asshole in Hawaii. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Notice I said it right. Did I say it correctly? Hawaii?
Yeah.
Hawaii.
Yeah. Oh, man, I wish I could be there. Third, he's the guy who now everybody knows has a truly sterile backseat. Mr. Jackson Bulger.
I do.
You're famous, man.
Much. I know, right?
You're famous. You in the backseat of your car.
Well, what can I say?
There's a 70s song probably in the backseat of the car. Yeah. Not peeing in the backseat of your car.
Well, yeah. You only do that once.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Unless you live there.
Yeah. Well, we're not there yet. I recently have had... I have a bunch. Every single day I have some sort of song stuck in my head.
I do too.
Today it is "Die for You" by The Weeknd. It's on the radio, and it's just like it's a song that I've been really loving lately. There's another one by a guy named David Kushner. His name, it's called Cannon Beach. So those are the two that are stuck in my head right now.
Is he singing about Cannon Beach, Oregon? Cannon Beach, you think? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was another one. Really?
For sure, yeah. So
Really?
both of them are good.
Okay. All right. They're not bad ones.
No, they're not bad ones.
Like Paul had a bad one.
Yeah.
Oh no, their song. If I ever have a song stuck in my head, it's typically ones that I've been listening to, and I heard something that if you're going to sleep and you have a song stuck in your head, what you can do is listen to the whole entire song, and then that song will no longer be stuck in your head. It's because you cut it off too early.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I don't know if that's the truth, but
Let's try that.
so listen.
It's
to
like
the
Eric Cartman when he does "Come Sail Away" by Styx. You guys don't know that reference, but anyway.
I don't know if
I know Styx, but
and I know South Park.
South Park, yeah. He can't ever start "Come Sail Away" by Styx unless he goes through the whole thing. And in the cartoon, he does the whole thing super fast. I'm sailing away, come in forward on the good sea. It's really funny.
Yeah.
Me, I'm the guy who's getting propofol and a car battery attached to his nipples tomorrow.
oh man,
Good thing you don't have
I wish I
piercings.
would. Is there film? Is there going to be any films?
I actually had a student ask me that today. They said, "Mr. Pat, you going to videotape it?
You're gonna vlog it.
I'll ask my wife. Hey guys, about to go to sleep." So there we go. My song today that I woke up unfortunately was "Wake Me Up Before You Go" by Wham.
You've had that
That's
one
bad.
before. I know you've mentioned that.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from. I just in my head woke up this morning and
You like George Michael?
I hated that song in high school, and I hate it today. I don't have anything against George Michael. I love Freedom 90, whatever that song is. Freedom. Got to give it what you take. But I don't like that one. I remember I used to go to dances in high school, and they'd play it like 9 times. It had a 2-hour dance, and everybody'd scream, they said do it again. I'm like, no. I was a very lonely guy in high school. Yeah, I'm getting the cardio version tomorrow, and I truly cannot wait. I hope I'm not putting much into it, you guys, but I hope I wake up tomorrow with a proper resting heart rate for the first time in about 5 weeks. And yeah. I'm really hoping. It's likely going to be temporary. That's what I'm hearing. That this whole thing is just like, we're going to do this, and it's going to fix you for we don't know how long. I'm hoping. I'm praying like 90 days would be a dream come true, and then you go to the next phase or whatever it is. But not to feel anaerobic climbing stairs would be very nice. And because this weekend, I texted you guys. I was like, if I could get out, because we're going to get into the 50s Fahrenheit here this weekend, and I'm like, if I could just get out for a 90-minute ride, that would just, I would probably cry the whole ride. And I know I'm sounding like a little melodramatic pain in the ass, or Sam would call me a bitch. Because I don't know. It's really small on the overall scale of things, don't you think? Well, I don't have I'm not dead. I don't have anything that's going to be a death sentence per se. I can still function and go about my daily life.
But if it's a big deal to you, which it is a big deal, if it is a big deal to you,
Be
then
a
it's
big deal to me.
Yeah. So I think it's it's okay to make a big deal out of it.
Does it have to be life-threatening to be a big deal?
I don't know anymore. Everybody's
Like a boil on the taint, that's a big deal. But it's not life-threatening.
That is a big deal.
Yeah.
I think that's a bigger deal
Ask
than anything.
Laurent Fignon
Yeah.
last time trial in '89.
Did he have a boil on his
Yeah.
taint?
That
Really?
was
Is
part
that
of
what it
his.
was?
Yeah, that was part of the problem.
I remember the year he dropped out because of a tapeworm.
Yeah, he had that. Yeah, it was 84, 5.
Yeah.
Something like
85
That
was
sucks.
Pino one. Yeah, so it might have been that year. Yeah, bad stuff. And I guess that just grosses me out. So I know Sam's riding his bike and not eating meat in Hawaii, but how are things going on around here? How are you guys doing? We're just getting over our last snow accumulation, which is Good riddance. But I think we might be smoke free this summer.
We had a wet spring
Yeah.
anyway last year.
Yeah.
But we had a little bit of smoke, but not that long.
Yeah, I remember it wasn't as terrible, but it was still there.
We had like 3 or 4 days or something.
How should well? First of all, let me know how your training week went, and second of all, should things look good enough this weekend, what would be your plans individually for actually getting out onto the roads?
I mean, things have been good. You know, I've been training indoors. I've been hitting numbers that I didn't in December, so that's positive.
I stalk you. You were doing short and quick.
Yeah, and that's what I really focus on now in this time of year when it's indoors. I don't want to, be depressed. So I like you said, short and quick. And then the intensity is something that I like always desperately focus on. And then the long steady miles is what I get with you guys anyways when we go outside. So
we can't get his heart rate up. He just rides along.
These are steady. We're like,
we're totally flat stick.
You
and
pulling
he's like,
off? I just didn't know.
Right.
Oh no, you're dropping me. Oh.
No, but I get those long steady miles by riding with everybody.
Sure.
I haven't really done over like 45 minutes for a while. So
God.
That's what outdoor time's for.
That would be I would be freaking out more than I am right now.
See, I'm very focused on like road racing this year, and most of, if not all of my road races are not going to be very long anyways.
That's a good point.
So might as well focus on that sprint power that I know I've got. And but for this weekend, I would be not against riding with people, whoever's up for it. Just because, God, I gotta get outside.
Yeah,
for my own.
At the point now. Yeah.
Because I'm tired of sitting in that room on that bike.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Paul, what's your week like, and are you planning on?
I rode. Well, when we got snow, they kind of like.
Oh man, yeah, because we talked about it last week, potentially getting out.
Yeah, it wasn't going to happen.
Nope.
So I got my weekend, on the trainer. I had my rotating day off. Excited. Wait until it got above freezing. It was probably around close to 1 o'clock to make sure, because where I was going to go. Rolling down about a mile from my house, and
oh no!
I thought, no big deal. Switch it and put in roll. So I thought I couldn't see it, but what happened once you air it up, I didn't check the tire because I cleaned out the inside, but I had like a 1/4-inch slice from some glass. So for those who say, well, if you had tubeless, no, it would have emptied out. I was screwed.
There'd be another inch of white stuff on the ground if you had tubeless.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
And it'd be all over me and my kid, and it's like, God dang it. So
look like Monica Lewinsky's dress.
That's right. Car's turning on the wipers. What is this? What's wrong with this guy? He's spewing out juke all over my car.
You're like one of the robots from the Alien movies. Just spitting the milk everywhere.
But yeah, that was disappointing. So I went home and then, because that was a fairly good shape. Now it was a GP 4000, so they haven't made those for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But I kind of stock up when I see tires go on stock. That was my last GP 4000. It probably didn't even have 500 miles. So I went and ordered up some tires.
Did you?
And tubes. And I'm out of CO2. And it is like, so then my wife and I, as I mentioned, walked the dog. And then wax sentimental about 70s.
You know what? There are a lot of other Rupert Holmes songs that really are messed up too. There's another one. He's just like him. What you gonna do about him?
I think that's really funny that you took it to this.
It popped into my head. It popped into my head. There's another one where he's singing a song and like there's no guitar solo. He just sings. He's like goes, woo, woo, woo. And you're like, dude, you're a rock star. You have budget, man. Just get a guitarist to come in. Anyway, I have not done doodly squat again.
Well,
Yeah, because of the ticker. But I have been doing the Derby stuff, the Derby workouts. I'm now at 200 lunges on each leg. I did that today.
Wow.
And it's so please tomorrow work. Yeah, a couple people have been asking me to write this out, so I'm going to write out the journey. But I think it's also time to probably talk to some people kind of like David and even not kind of like David. Sorry, like David. Sorry, David. I like you, man. I think you're really. And even probably try to get Leonard Zinn back on or something like that and talk to him about that and maybe kind of talk about this process, because it is something that, I think a lot of endurance athletes might, not a lot, but certain percentage deal with, and it's better to have the knowledge and understand that, it's technically it's treatable. So let's go, right? How soon do you guys start officially kind of quote training? Are you guys underway, or is there like okay, we're out on the roads? Are there workouts planned, or is it kind of a ride when you can, long steady distances, slowly build? Because races are happening. There was a race last weekend on the other side of the state already.
Yeah.
Which I hear the Masters field was the biggest. Way to go, road cycling. You're still continuing the tradition of middle-aged white men.
And Cat Force are
there?
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
That's the biggest.
Trying to get out of that one.
Yeah.
I have been considering. I've been calling it training since, like I've been saying, since December. But I think hardcore training is a now type of situation. The first race is on my birthday, so I know. So I gotta at least for me, I wanna take that stuff seriously. So I want to be ready by that time. So I think once outdoor training starts, that's when I think serious fitness stuff.
That's when you
really
start rolling.
Yeah, exactly. Because then I can kind of test how things really are. I think I said on a previous show that I don't really consider it like a real. It's hard to understand like what the real gains you've made over this winter are unless you're outside. Because when you're inside, it's just the same thing you felt all year.
Wow. Paul, are you already incorporating a plan of attack right now, or are you just waiting, kind of maintaining, and then?
No, I always kind of push it, and as I mentioned before, like doing intervals and doing like on the RGT, I'd do 3 different workouts, based on whatever I planned on doing. But so I've already talked to my wife. She has a little scooter. Do some motor pacing on my RDOs, so every other Tuesday hitting that. Wow. So whenever she feels comfortable and the sand's been swept off the road, that's probably best for her. And I think next year, so that was when I went down to Palm Desert, I was hoping that to really start launching, you get the 400-mile weekend and then just kind of build off of that,
Yeah.
But next year I'll probably go back and see my buddy Stu, maybe in February, a little later. The weather's a little bit so.
Yeah.
And then
unfortunately, that's a really good time to do it. It's just getting to February.
Yeah. But there is a little caveat, because I talking to my wife last night. I want to go see Paris-Roubaix, the Flanders and Paris-Roubaix, and I'm kind of getting burned out on traveling because air travel's lost its luster the way things happen. It's just not even fun anymore. So but
is it the people or is it the airlines?
No, it's the airlines. It's it's all messed up. Like even my trip down to Palm Desert, I was stuck in an airplane or in an airport for 12 hours, over 12 hours. In which you're only supposed to take like 3.5 hours. So, and then the next day, the FAA shut down the whole airport. Lucky I made it that day before. It was like, they had something going wrong with their system. And and then you hear all this other thing. So, but anyway, if I do go to Belgium next year, then I may not go just for cost purposes.
Yeah.
Won't go down to Palm Desert. But.
One over the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've I've booked my spring training camp. This is how positive I am that tomorrow I'm going to feel halfway back to normal. I'm going with my RV to Lewiston, Idaho.
That there, Clark, is an RV.
I was looking around and I'm going like, okay, because we had talked about, as a group, as a collective group, and that kind of fell apart, and my ticker didn't help and stuff like that, and so everybody just kind of, we kind of got wishy-washy on it, which is nobody's fault. And then I was just looking around. I was going, okay, Pat, you got to think positive for the first time in your adult life. And and I was like, okay, where's the banana belt in this region? Where's a place that in the first week of April is going to be in the mid to upper 50s? And I can go and find kind of bare roads. And yes, my wife made me make sure that I was near some sort of a decent hospital because I'm going to still be on thinners.
That's smart.
So I'm like, all right, I'll find one. So I found Lewiston, Idaho, where it smells like the pulp mill, but you're there for a day and you get used to it. And the average temperatures look warm. And I was like, I'm going to just go drive my RV down there. I'm going to book 5 days. And I'm just going to ride every day, LSD miles, nothing major, nothing hardcore. I'm going to do some climbing and stuff like that because I have gained over these last 5 weeks. I've gained about 5 pounds because it's just I haven't been doing anything. I've been going through my daily routine, but I come home at the end of the day and I'm just like, I gotta go take a nap. Yeah. So beer's good. And so I was hoping like that week will be a kind of a kickstart to kick things going and maybe bring things back a little bit. I do need to ask you guys though. Actually, do I have it later in the show? I just got to make sure I'm sticking to my own itinerary. What would you guys do in terms of if you were in my situation? And I don't need to make this show all about me, but if you guys were staring down the barrel of, and we talked about this after we finished the show last week. Paul, you mentioned somebody you knew who was on blood thinners, and a major crash is serious shit. What would you guys do? Because I have a feeling after I finish this procedure tomorrow, they're going to say, okay, knock on wood, things are back to normal in your heart rate, but you can't go off your medication until you're a specific amount of time without AFib. Because the AFib builds clots, and the last thing you want to do is have a stroke. So, what would you guys do in terms of that with the racing calendar that's back? Would you fast group rides that are back, the gravel rides versus road races versus fondos? How would you guys address the situation if you were, I don't know, the guy you're looking at from across the bar?
I would definitely consult your cardiologist about that. I think that's number one thing. If he says not a good idea, then don't do it. But if he says, well, if you're careful, I would. And my wife said I would allow you to ride because after we heard about it, she said, I wouldn't. It shouldn't slow. Just like what David even said, it's you can still live a good life and do things, but. You'd always have to be with somebody and not travel too far away where, like do 100-mile, and 50 miles away out of town in farmland. Mm-hmm. That's not a good idea. But, just train on circuits or something close to town. So that's what I would do.
Mass start races. What would you? I know you guys are both. We're on YouTube, but you guys both just kind of grated your teeth there. So
Well, I mean, I think that
and you're not hurting my feelings. This is kind of a conversation for ourselves and for I don't know, people listening to us.
Yeah. I think that I know we have smart racers in the city of Spokane. I just don't trust. I in any race scenario, this isn't the local racers, this isn't anybody in particular that I'm calling out, but I don't trust them because anything can happen when you're in a race.
Yeah.
And so especially as hard as you can crash at the speeds that you would be going at, I would be a little freaked out.
Would you? Yeah.
If I would take if I were in this situation, I would take a killer DS roll until until I were off of these.
Sure. Okay.
Like blood thinners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about like the TNTs and Thursday nights? Is that the same as a race?
That scares me almost even more.
Does it really? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
just because there's traffic involved as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would probably more apt that than like a training series, you know.
Yeah.
Especially like the original course.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it starts off pretty mellow, and then it hits the hill and things thin out, so you're not in a tight group.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be safer, and we're close to town.
Yeah.
I would say that. But if it was like right out to like what they call a course brutale, you're starting to push it a little bit.
You're a little farther
but
out. Yeah.
That I still think I probably would.
Yeah.
I'm sure my wife wouldn't have a problem with that since she's the ruler of our roost. Yeah. So.
But mind you, I am also I'm the worrier.
Sure.
So like I guess it's nice to have two different perspectives here.
No, and that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up in this context, because I think it's an interesting conundrum to be finally able to go out and do these kind of things, but to be able to, under this restriction of the fact that road rash is, I'm not going to die from road rash, but
could be serious.
Yeah, getting hit by a car, or road rash if you're way the hell gone. I am signed up for the last best ride at the end of the summer in Whitefish, Montana, and that's like, shit. I hope I can make it to that. Because
I think it's important to make that a goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think what Paul said is important. Just to see what the professionals say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because I think that's the word we can really trust.
Well, and I know the doctor's going to say, don't stress your heart too much, stuff like that. But in terms of the actually going out and doing activities, this is the same doctor who told me, hey, the beta blocker is going to do great things for your golf game. And I just want to look at him and go, you're barking up the wrong tree there, Chief, because I am not the guy who's
try archery.
Yeah.
Archery, it's great.
Yeah, it calms your steadies your nerves and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. Jesus. Now, do you guys, in terms of endurance-based miles for this time of year, what's your longest ride you guys would do? Jackson, I know you're not in the gravel mentality anymore, so you're not going to be going out and cranking out 100-milers.
Well, it depends on how our buddy Sam really makes this bike purr. So. So
you might gravel it back.
I think what's been keeping me from it is just the inability of the bike itself.
Sure.
So
is it loose?
No, I'm just tightening a little bit.
Okay.
I think I'm not opposed to it, but I have definitely been kind of referring more to that road side of things. But in terms of distances, I remember we suggested one day, I didn't finish it, but a 70-mile ride a couple of years ago, and that we did. I remember you guys did it, I think, but I had to finish early. But that's something that I would consider now. Like, now that I know how to handle that distance, it would be something that I would be willing to just try again.
Do you base it off of, and this is the same for you, Paul, and same question in terms of how far you go. Do you base it off of time, or do you base it off of distances?
I probably would do, especially because everybody I'm riding with are younger, so the pace will be up.
Yeah.
And when you ride with a big group, me personally, I will never ride probably further than 65, 70 miles by myself.
Yeah.
In a group, I'll probably extend if we decide to do 100-mile. Outside of 100, none.
You're done.
No, yeah. I don't care to do anything over, and even doing 100.
Jackson, you don't either.
Yeah. If we do Mount Spokane, leave my house is 88 miles round trip, top to bottom.
That's max.
So
yeah.
On the way home, we always seem to hammer it home, and then once you get into town, people spin out their legs. So
yeah.
My objective is, especially with this end of the summer kind of a goal, which is 100-milers. I think it's at least 100-miler. I think it is. I'll have to look it up. Is to get a couple 100-milers in this year, for sure, and do those. I don't want to do the low, slow, and steady stuff because that just
boring.
No offense to my milehead friends, but I don't want to stop for hot dogs and take a picture and stuff like that. It's just, and that's
But
just
they have fun. They have
absolutely. They have a great time, and they're great guys. But it's just not. I don't think it's in my wheelhouse. So there we go. Should we get? We probably need to shift to the news. So let's get things rolling with the news intro. There we go. With our quick check from the headlines, brought to you by our friends at our official beer provider, Perry Street Brewing. Great atmosphere, beer, and the definition of a true neighborhood pub in the heart of Spokane's Perry Street district. And bullshit is the name of our first story. Kristen Faulkner has been disqualified from the Strada Bianca women for wearing a continuous glucose monitoring sensor during the race. In case you haven't heard about this one, it was on the fence for a while, but then it ran through it. Cycling News, I got this story from. They reported that she risked disqualification from the classic after she was seen with it under the sleeve of her jersey. Yeah. And the UCI confirmed that she has been disqualified, which took place. That's all UCI bullshit. But devices which capture other physiological data, including any metabolic values such as, but are not limited to glucose or lactate, are not authorized in competition. Okay, so that's what they said. She apparently fitted the monitor to her arm before being called up to Strada Bianca. This was a late call-up. And thought the UCI rule referred to the active use of the monitors on a mobile phone app. Her sensor was not connected to her phone during Strada Bianca, is what she's claiming. So, that being said, I would like to ask you guys your thoughts on this. We don't really have them overly available here in the States. The fine folks at Wahoo, I was going to do a test for them, and they sent me some Super Sapien monitors. I just never fired them up because I had things that happened and I didn't do the test. They're still somewhere around the house. But I've never used them. I don't understand them. I understand the concept behind them, but the illegality and your opinions upon that in terms of where they have a place in racing? Yes or no?
I mean, she didn't win.
Yeah,
she
had a brilliant ride.
Right. So I don't know if it really matters. I mean, we are monitoring so much in this day and age in the world of cycling that I don't know if really wearing a glucometer during the entire event would really give her an extra leg up. I mean, I guess in some scenarios, like in a Milan-San Remo, when it's an extra long race and you know how your body needs to like refuel in those situations, I think that could be kind of a big help. But realistically, I mean, I feel like those riders are going to kind of base it off of feel. So I don't really know if it matters that much. But also, rules are rules, and it has been a rule for a bit now. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I feel like no matter what, if she's saying that it wasn't connected to a cellular device, I mean, she's not allowed to carry one per the UCI rules, but I feel like she probably should have known. Which I hate to say, but it's like that has been a rule for a while now. So why would you put it on your arm knowing that you're breaking the rule? Because you have cameras everywhere. You can't hide anything. Or
to ask somebody, hey, this isn't connected to my phone. Are we cool? I'm sure they were walking around measuring socks, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't understand the context behind the setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's two things that I approached, and Jackson kind of did it too. First of all, rules are made whether you like them or not. You have to abide by them. On her defense, those things are expensive. She just apparently just put it on.
Yeah.
And I can understand, well, I'm not going to take it out. You have to throw it away. I mean, it was a late call up.
Yeah, it's a one and done thing.
Yeah. So, but the thing is what, like you said, why didn't you bring it up? Hey, just letting you know, it's not connected to anything. Do we have a problem here?
Yeah.
I think that's what she probably should have played with. On the other hand, UCI is notorious for not explaining why they have the rules.
Yeah.
And so
it's new, ban it, and then we'll think about it later.
Yeah, and what is the purpose? Because they have no needle. Now, it is a needle that penetrates into the body.
Yeah.
Are they considering that a needle I don't know. That's probably grasping at things. I don't know, and they won't give an answer. And yet everything else. We have watts, we have everything, altitude,
Right.
All that information. We have radios telling you where the race is, and then for the safety of this person, with their blood sugar and stuff. Like, what is is it
Novo Nordisk?
Yeah, because they have to monitor their.
Yeah.
Do they
you would
get?
assume they have to. Yeah.
Yeah, and they
therapeutic use exemption. Yeah.
That's what I was going to mention. I wonder if they because
That's an interesting
at no
question.
point has there been diabetic mention anywhere.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't know. I think it's the UCI notoriously not explaining their way out of it, saying, "Hey, listen." And to me, it makes people understand and abide by law if you understand the law, as opposed to you can't do this. And like raising kids, I always explain, don't do that. Why? Because you can get hurt, or this is not proper, or it's bad manners, blah 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 blah, and then it sinks in. But if you just say no, because I say so, it never sticks.
Because I said so is what I grew up to.
And it's annoying.
Hey, you're breaking all the rules.
Yeah.
Because I said so.
But
Because I said so.
Then the next 15 times you do it until you're like, ow, if I touch the stove, it hurts.
yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where sometimes you just, as the parent, you're just like, all right, touch the stove.
Yeah. See what happens.
All right.
Oh, you can't sit down in the wet snow? Well, you're going to have a wet ass.
Yeah, walk out into traffic.
Sorry,
Go
that
ahead.
was
I dare you.
that was a personal experience. I didn't mean to vent there.
Oh, you really? Speaking from work?
Yeah. Well,
Hey, Perry Nice and Tirreno Adriatico wrapped up this last week, and some sort of a recap for ourselves. Is there anything we walked away, and what have we learned in terms of, first of all, the Tadej versus Jonas matchup? Are people concluding too early that the Tour de France is over?
I mean, if Tadej was this way last year.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season. And I think that he's playing it better than he did last year. I hope at least. Because at the moment...
He's not chesting his cards.
No.
He's showing everybody that he's flying.
But I think that's part of his game. I think that he races to win every single game. Or every single race. Excuse me. Yeah. So I think that, I mean, at the moment, if we were to predict the Tour, it would be a resounding Tadej win, because this last week I feel like it really showed that they were on different levels. I mean, Jonas was there and definitely like present in that race, but I think that it showed that Tadej like I said, at the moment was just, he was head and shoulders above the rest. I mean, his explosiveness, his willingness to win everything that he enters is it's impressive.
That's very true. I mean, he's that way, and there was. Of course, I'm an old guy. There's one guy that he said, why not win every race? And he was asked not. There's people that got pissed because he was going to win all the time. Yeah. And that was Eddie Merckx. Yeah. And I think Pidcock said it last year that Tadej's playing with our balls, One
of the best quotes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he can just do anything. And even one of the, I think there's a penultimate stage where Vindigo was going pretty hard and stuff, and it kind of settled back down, and the camera pulled up, and Tadej just sticks his tongue
waving.
out. Yeah. And this guy is unique. I think he's one of a kind, one of a generation, and it's fun watching him. Even if he wins, I mean, this is going to be, as long as he can stay upright. He doesn't seem to have bad luck. He doesn't seem to crash out, and when he does go down, he bounces back up, like in the Tour, when he went in the ditch. Yeah. He never makes excuses. He never, But I think, as in, somebody mentioned on a podcast, how are you going to stop this guy? Well, the same way that Jumbo-Visma did it last year. Jonas is not the same rider. Right. So he can't be on a solid peak like Tadej. But what they did do is have like his best team around him, and that team was split.
They were, and that's the thing. We look at Tirreno Adriatico, and we look at the fact that Primoz Roglic had a great race. I mean, 3 stages, right?
Yeah.
3 stages?
Yes, 3 stages.
Nothing in a dominating fashion, but still, you're coming into these home stretches, and he still has the kick. He still has the sprint and the fortitude to do it. So. What? Yes, UAE has increased their regiment this year, but I don't know. I mean, I think the depth of something like Jumbo-Visma is the only thing that's going to beat this guy.
Well, and I think that one thing that is important that UAE has now added to their repertoire is he's a guy I always make fun of, but it's a Yates, and who has been on pretty consistent form at the beginning of the year, and he has the availability in the Tour to blow it now because he's got somebody behind him who will not blow it, and I think that he is being used a lot better on a team like UAE than he is on Ineos because I think that he has now a reliable source to pour all that energy into. So I think that this year's Tour is going to be really, really interesting because Roglic is showing really exciting early season form. But the one I was surprised by was Wout, to not see some sort of victory from him in the past week.
I believe the statistic was this is the first time in multiple years that Wout van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel both showed up to the same race and not one of them won.
Yeah, it's weird.
Or podiumed.
Yeah, I think, what was it, since 2018 in a stage race that they didn't, I think that's what it was, I can't remember, is that Wout had not won at least one stage in the stage race.
Wout was clearly sick. You could tell.
And I think that part of that, too, is that you don't want to start slamming it. If you miss 2 weeks, he's going to use this to get into shape. And if you look, he did a lot of work for Roglic. Yeah. A lot of work. And that helps your fitness too, So I think it'll be interesting this weekend to see where both. Yeah. Because Mathieu doesn't look all that. He even said cross was probably not the best idea.
Mathieu did some lead out work. A little bit of lead out work.
Solid lead out work.
Yeah. So. Let's just jump to it. It leads us to the first monument in the season, Milan-San Remo. Okay, I in the Cycling Legends podcast, which I also am a part of, the great guys over there. Be sure and check them out, by the way. There was a question by a listener talking about whether... talking about the status of Milan-San Remo. First of all, it's a monument. And then the question by the listener was asking in terms of Strada Bianca versus Milan-San Remo. In terms of, Paul's already given me this, don't even waste my time.
Are you going to use your voice?
No, that was Eddie. I don't know who you're talking about.
You got to listen to the show.
Pull the curtain back. Pulling the curtain back. The Eddie.
Hey, what you talking about?
The Eddie voice is always kind of. I always end up laughing my ass off at one point in time while recording those segments, especially the Taylor Swift bit.
Yeah, that was good.
But Milan-San Remo, can we all agree? Pretty freaking boring for a long time.
I don't watch a lot of Milan-San Remo.
Yeah. Paul, you watch every moment.
I try
all
to.
8 hours or whatever.
It comes on at 1:45 in the morning for us. But I won't be up. If I wake up, I will turn it on and go in and out, and that's what I do. CP's invited me over to his place.
Oh, okay.
And Dismount and I will go over there. I think about 5:30.
Oh, mother of pearl!
Yeah. Easily, I mean, I'll probably be up by 4 watching at my place. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's hard to wrangle. You're going to invite, hey, you want to come over and watch it? What time works for you? And I'm thinking, I know 4 o'clock's not going to work for him. So I said 5:30. Wow. He goes, really? That early? No.
Well, that's the race, man. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Before we even get to Milan-San Remo, I did have one of our loyal listeners ask about Paris-Roubaix and a watching party. For example, one of our friendly pubs around the neighborhood being willing to host a watching party. But I'm looking at my friends like Paul who watch it live, and I'm like going,
I just keep my mouth shut. Yeah, I mean, it'd have to, obviously, no pub's going to be open at
4 a.m.
Yeah.
But so would you be willing to not watch it live to
I
watch
can't
it
do that.
There's evening?
No fucking way.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm almost the same way. It's not that I watch any of these races live, but I have to watch them once I wake up immediately. Coffee's on, I'm watching that because I
am too.
I want my phone. I will be honest. I do like my social media.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to have to be restricted from what I can and can't do. And I also, that's a race that last year at least, I never fast forwarded on.
Yeah.
And so it's like I got to dedicate a good amount of time to that.
And the worst social media managers on the planet are writing the worst, here it is, fucking headlines on the planet by saying, Tadej Pogacar wins Paris-Roubaix. Click this link. It's like, you dumb shit.
Yeah, clickbait.
Why would you want me to click a link if you're already telling me the heart of the story? You could actually write a headline, heaven forbid, that says, incredible, insane, wet and wild Roubaix. Click that link. Okay, that intrigues me. I'm going to go click to that link. I have been on this soapbox for years about social media, Twitter accounts, all these dumb shitheads who are writing these posts who are just spoiling everything left and right.
Yeah, well, we live in an instant gratification society.
Well, you're idiots. Don't do it. I mean, especially, me.
tough.
I, by habit, sometimes just reach over, grab my phone, and like, oh, okay, I'm up in the morning. God damn it! There's a picture. Like, I think I sent a photo of me watching the race, and it was a pre-shot photo of Tadej doing some of a victory salute, Jackson, and you were like, hey! And I was like, no, that's just the pre-shot photos. It has nothing to do with who won the race. I would never post a spoiler. I hate spoilers online. I hate the people who post spoilers online, and a lot of them are in cycling media. There, sorry, did I? Oh, I think I might.
Well, what's your heart rate?
I think I might have just jumped
shit.
it back into normality. I feel great.
Gotta get the poison out.
Oh God, you get the poison.
Well, on that I'm brainstorming a little bit, but if we found like a venue, I'd be willing to be there. If we can get it set up at 5:30, people can roll in.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they want.
it's got to be.
That's one way, because I'm going to be up at that point anyway. So, but the other way we could do it is say 7:00, and we will start, even though it's close to the finish.
With delay.
We can
Rewind.
rewind down to where it really starts in Troisville.
Yeah.
And so you're 170 kilometers or less than 170 kilometers to the finish. And then, anybody who squeaks out the finish, because we're going to be delayed.
If they spoil it,
Yeah.
you immediately draw and cord with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And having fun doing it. Yeah. So
You get beat with a rubber
I mean
hose.
that's how we can.
You do that shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's one way you could pull it off.
Because somebody would, and that's the problem. Because there's an asshole in every group who's looking ahead, and you're just like, "Oh, don't be that person." But so I'm scared. I'm terrified. Milan Sanremo. So super long, and is that what true is the distance, or the history, or both what makes it truly a monument? I'm going to look at Paul on this one.
All of them, and I think too, which was there is a uniqueness about that race. So my little brother, rest in peace.
Yes.
Lived in Lake Como, and
Oh wow.
and so he was saying, do you ever plan to come and see a race? And I explained, one that I would like to see is Milan San Remo. And he goes, what's that? And I said, well, it actually happens next week. This is like 6 years ago. So I told him, and I sent a screen picture of the route. And he and his wife took off, and they were like, as soon as they got to a small little town, they said all the people are like having parties and stuff because the race went by. And they said, oh, you just missed it. It was like 10 minutes ago. Oh. But he ended up hanging out with these people the whole way, almost all the way to San Remo. He was behind the race and missed it all.
Oh,
now, he's not an avid cycling fan, but he thought, but he could catch the atmosphere. Yeah. And so it's so unique that, and it was Chris Sedwells that said in the other show in the feed zone that it starts in Milan and it's still kind of like winter. And you're going along and they go over this pass and then you're getting into the Riviera and it's just like spring. It's like this transition. So there's a lot of beauty to it. And they always say it's the easiest race to finish, the hardest race to win.
Yeah.
And so there's all these different dynamics. Each race has, to me on the classics, has something very unique about them. And, to me, I think it's great. You can see what's unfolding, when the breakaway goes, you see what small teams are in there and what big teams, and you try and figure out what they're going to do. So.
And there's always been, I remember when I first got into following cycling, it was an attackers type of a race, and then it switched to a sprinters style of a race, with the Eric Zabel years especially. I think he won 6, 5, 6,
4, 5,
something like that.
think,
Sorry, I could be wrong.
Merckx 7.
Merckx 7. I mean, Merckx was not a flat out sprinter, so it wasn't that style of a race. And then it went to this sprinter style, and that now it seems to be back to this kind of these daredevil, these risk takers, these and that's what I find dynamic about it, because the pendulum shifts in terms of what style of a rider is going to win. With Matej Mohoric last year, it was just this descending skill that really sealed the deal, and to see even Jesper Stuyven, right? You can see his style with a breakaway and that solo style of an effort. I love seeing that. So where do you guys envision it going? Are we going to stay? We have a restricted start list here in front of us. Without picking your riders, what style of a rider do you see coming to the forefront this year? And that being said, are we going to address the elephant in the room and the fact that Tadej Pogačar is going to start this race?
Yeah, I think that it is not going to be a sprinters classic this year. I think it's going to be more of honestly, like a possible GC leader, almost like like a daredevil type of year, because I don't think we're seeing the typical type of GC leader that we've seen before.
We have entered the age of the attacker.
Exactly.
And honestly, I couldn't be happier to be alive right now, because it is a beautiful style of bike racing.
So I think that's what'll win it this year, and I think that the descent will also play some sort of key role in it again this year.
You do.
Yeah, and on the Poggio, it always has. There was, what was it when
they go
the
so
last one?
Freaking fast up that climb.
Sean Kelly, who never wore a helmet,
grabbed
a helmet, that solid bull, Broncoli.
It was the worst looking thing.
And
they should have just called it broccoli, because it looked like a head of broccoli on his noggin.
And I mean, he took his.
Bring it up while Paul's talking, Jack.
Yeah, it is
so bad.
That's where he attacks, and he caught Marino Argentine.
Yeah.
And Argentine said, "I knew it was done once he caught him, because he'd risked everything." And then there was another good year when Wout won. Alaphilippe took off, and Wout just like closed the door on him on the descent. And Alaphilippe is a great descender. And he had disc brakes, and Wout didn't. Yeah. And how did he catch him? I don't know.
Well, he couldn't stop. That's all.
So anyway, so the descent is crucial, but going up the Poggio, it's not. It's like it would kill me, but it's not like for hill climbers. Yeah, there it is.
It's such an ugly helmet. Yeah. It's such an ugly helmet.
Look at Argentine.
She's like, oh.
Yeah, he said he was done. He hit 400 meters. He knew he was over.
Yeah.
So
why, Mamma Mia?
Nice shorts, by the way.
Saying. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, he's got little purple splotches all over the place. Yeah, that's on our monitor right now. If you're not listening to the show live and you're not watching us live, you're going to have to look up
YouTube.
Sean Kelly Broncoli. Oh, Jackson's got it on screen. So yeah,
kind of.
Yeah. So and Kelly was truly one of that year was he was an old man back in that year. That was a big deal.
Years, yeah. So it always boils down to who can hang with the group, however fast they're going over the Poggio. Remember, the Shark of Messina won it.
Yeah.
Nibali. And that was just because he attacked and everybody was watching everybody else. But and he's a massive descender. He was great, and that's what kept it off. But there's 5 to 3 kilometers before the finish.
Yeah.
So
it can
it can regroup, and it usually does.
Cavendish took it one year.
Yeah. Wow.
So, I mean, it could be a very interesting come down. Who do you guys see? I think we could go with the average 3 that we've been picking. I am basically, are we going to all admit that it just narrows it down to 2 picks after we all pick Tadej Pogacar? Because he's just, I mean, you know what, enough. We can compare him to Merckx. I think we can compare him to Merckx, and I think, the way this kid's going.
Fair. It's not,
it's a different time.
Merckx style.
Yeah, Merckx style. Yeah. And it's a different time. I mean, I don't mean to belittle Eddie Merckx and what he did. And I can't, some people are going to, wait, what is he about to say? But the times have changed and racing has changed. And I think for somebody to equate to what Eddie Merckx did in his time in our current world would be bigger.
Yeah.
Because we are looking at cycling in terms of athletes who specialize in what they do. I mean, Voldemort was the king of that, where he focused on a very specific time of year, primarily 3 weeks in France, and it worked majestically for him. I mean, reasoning we can get aside, but for a rider to be able to equal the Palmares over the entire season, like Merckx did, to even come close in today's society, I think is a greater achievement.
Yeah, it would be unbelievable if somebody did.
To walk away with a career equal to Eddie Merckx's in today's society, no game, no difference.
Crazy.
So anyway, yes, I'm picking Tadej Pogacar as one of my winners because just watching him ride away in that final stage of Paris-Nice by himself, he just hit the gas and rode away. I think something like that could easily happen. I think there are going to be a lot of people watching him, but watching and holding are 2 completely different things. I think Mathieu van der Poel has something in the tank. I think he's going to bring something to the table. I'm going to pick him, and I'm going way out on a limb here, but I don't know if he can handle the climb, but I think if it were to regroup, Mads Pedersen from Trek Segafredo, I think is a rider who is on a great place right now, and I think he can have a good day. Anybody want to jump in?
Yeah, I'll go for it. I'm also picking Tadej Pogacar. I think that it's hard to look against him. I mean, we've already done it. I'm not picking either a Wout or a Mathieu. I'm gonna pick Nielsen Paulus because he's a rider that nobody's really going to watch, and he's got strong form going into this part of the year. I think he got 6th in Paris-Nice, and that's, I mean, for an EF rider, that's big.
Yeah.
And then I think who we are going to see win this, I think Tom Pidcock's going to win.
Do you really?
I genuinely do. I think that from seeing what he can show at Strade Bianche, people are going to notice that he has something to show, but nobody's going to be watching him like they are Tadej. And
he struggled in Tirreno Adriatico, though.
Well, it's
before the crash.
Right. And I think, though, that you see Tom reach the top of this and then absolutely raise hell.
He is
on the way down.
Arguably one of the best guys at going downhill.
I think right now he is the best in the world at going downhill.
Yeah.
And so I think that because of his, nobody's going to watch him. I think because of that he will reach the top of the climb, I think, with the rest of the group. And then I think he's going to pull a Mate Mohoric.
Oh, wow. Okay. Dropper seat post and everything.
He doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Shit, he doesn't need it.
He's too short anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Drop it just hits the frame.
Yeah,
that's
seriously.
right.
That's how he won Strada. So
there you go. Yeah.
Paul, I wasn't a fool. I didn't want to pick him, but Tadej, because he enjoys cycling. And it's all fun, and he enters everything to win, and he's going to put everything on the table.
Yeah.
I mean, he has nothing to lose. I mean, he's not working for anything but winning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is one of his objectives, and same with Flanders.
Yeah.
So, I picked him, and I picked Wout. I think because he's won it before. He really knows and understands, and that the Poggio is one of those where power climbers can do, like he's shown in the Tour, and he's shown even in Tirreno Adriatico, when he was needed,
Yeah,
powering up hills,
he was there.
So
Even sick. Too.
yeah. So, but my long shot is, and I will probably pick this. This is my new.
No.
Is Arnaud Delis.
Oh, okay. I was
So
waiting
that
for
kid-
Sepp Van Mark or something
Yeah,
like that.
no,
yeah.
Sepp. I'll pick one more time, and that's from Paris-Roubaix. So, I think he's pretty much over the hill.
For Lotto Destiny, correct?
Yeah. So he's
yeah.
the 20-year-old that he's a phenom.
Yeah.
He's I like him. He still lives with his parents.
Mm-hmm.
He wakes up, milks the cows. He works on the farm, and he says, if it doesn't work out, I'll just go back to the farm. This is something that he's and he can. He's an unbelievable climber. In Omloop he did very well, and same with Kerners. He said, I'm hoping for snow and rain for Saturday.
Oh.
He's that type of mindset person.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
he's a tough cookie.
Okay.
So
I might have to get up early.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys, there we go. Let's jump to tonight's topic brought to us by our friends at Untapped Maple, you guys. Salted citrus, you heard us. It is out and it rocks. Easiest nutritional options out there. Consistency is light, smooth, and easy to get in. Flavor's brilliant. Packaging is nice and light. Get to Untapped Maple through the link at Packfiller today. Get properly fueled for the ride. Tonight, I want to talk about cycling on the cheap, or at least on the more affordable. We all know things have gone out flat out insane. And I could probably try to retract my thoughts to my younger days and try to figure out inflation rates and things like that, and that how much things cost then versus what they would cost today. But it just seems like when we've got super bikes that are well over $15,000, componentry that could create a need for a second mortgage, and shoes that are costing over $500-600. Let's talk about. I don't necessarily need to turn this into a bitch fest about why everybody's charging so much money, but what is truly worth spending big bucks on, and what we believe we can do to reduce the insanity or recommend ways and potential to avoid potential divorce papers in the future because you're spending too much money on stuff. No. Not speaking from experience. Talk to me about what, first of all, you guys consider to be the most overpriced items in the world of cycling today. What you guys just look at and you're just like going, are you shitting me?
Componentry.
Oh yeah, componentry, frames.
Yeah.
It's all there. Wheels. I think tires, to be honest with you, was a very underestimated thing that's really important.
Yeah.
They're actually not that bad.
Mm-mm.
They
haven't gone up that much.
Yeah.
I do remember tubulars costing around $50-60.
Yeah, and I used to run in the 90s competition, and they were around, even at my cost was $85.
Yeah.
At wholesale. And then now I'm buying them for $88 online.
Yeah.
The same time. Well, they're even better quality.
Yeah.
So they haven't. Tires are something that people should spend. If you're going to spend money, not on that and so much on wheels, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm jumping ahead here, but I think that the things that I would spend my money on.
Well, that's my very next question. What are you willing to spend the full amount on? No skimping. Yeah.
Well, there are a few things. So helmet is my number one. You're not going to get another brain. Let's be real. You're not. Shoes. I'm thinking about contact points here. If my feet are uncomfortable after 10 miles, I hate that. This is personal. But saddle. You got to have a good, well-fitting saddle. It doesn't need to be carbon rails. It just needs to be the one that works for your body.
Yeah.
And then wheels. I would spend a bit on wheels because you can make a large gain on wheels. I think that in a lot of cases, I'm the one who rides an aero frame, so whole lot of merit what I'm about to say holds.
Sure.
I rode a Trek aluminum frame for a very long time, and I still put up some results on that. And so I think that adding an aero set of wheels can really make a difference. Lighten up a bike too. So yeah, those are the things that I focus on.
Ballers, is it what things you willing to go above and beyond in terms of price?
Cost. I agree with Jackson. If I have a shoe that doesn't fit, I don't care if it's $100 or $20. I gotta have, your feet have to be comfortable.
Yeah. Right.
And same with the saddle. It doesn't have to have, carbon rails like you said. I agree 100% on all that. I think a decent set of wheels, but more importantly, the tires themselves.
Really? Okay.
And I think, like in our area, and I know aerodynamics is a big thing, but anything more than a 4 centimeter depth rim around here. We had an incident where we had that
blown
gust
off
of
the
wind.
road. Yeah.
Yeah, and in deep dish wheels will, and there was what race was it this last week? Deep dish wheel. These guys were like going in the ditch, and they're. It's just one of those things. And the average guy is going to have one set of wheels.
Yeah.
Maybe two. And so a lot of them, because it's cool to have deeper ones, but depends on where you live. If you don't have high winds like we can get up here, then,
Yeah.
But I think if you just kind of get decent, fairly light wheels, but good tires, that's probably the best thing you can do on any bike.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I always lean towards shoes. Have always been a thing. My father always told me, "What are you doing in the bathroom all day? Get out of there!" No, that's straight from Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But he has always said, "Never skimp on footwear or eyewear." Mm. And the irony is that our friends at Gooders are incredibly affordable. So but shoes I will never skimp on. I will always spend extra money on shoes. And
do you think price? Talking to you both, do you think price equals comfort?
Sometimes yes, but not all the time. Mm-hmm. No, I mean I think there are some. I think when you're talking about shoes, this is from a guy who rode Patrick's because Bernardino wore them, and because it was my first name.
Yeah.
They were terrible. They were absolutely. Yeah, they were. Yeah, it was a narcissistic mistake because they were absolute trash. They were super flexy and terrible. I guarantee, if we were measuring watts, I guarantee I lost 50 to 80 watts per pedal stroke kind of thing on those shoes. But they were terrible. But I think when you go up in price, you sometimes go up in lightweight. Mm-hmm. And I've never been a huge weight weenie, to be honest, because, I mean, look at me. It's not something that I'm going to, go to sleep and cry over because, an extra.
You got over that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, barely. So I want a good stiff sole, and I want a good comfort footbed. I want an arch support, and I want. And this is coming from a guy who spent money on a pair of lace-up shoes recently, and I mean nothing against our friends at Giro. It was not the shoe for me. My mountain bike and gravel shoes are still lace-up, and I don't mind them because I'm not really worried about a secure, really tight connection to the pedals. But on the road bike, I'm looking for that. I'm looking for a good, secure connection. So. When it comes to an $800 pair of shoes that are custom designed and things like that, they might look cool, but I know you can get something for cheaper, but I'm not going to go too cheap on that. And my other one was helmet. When you were a little kid, I looked at my wife, your mom, same person, believe it or not. Wow. And I said I'm going to buy you the coolest helmets forever. Whatever style you want, I'm going to buy it because you would be excited to wear it because it looks cool.
Like a Bell V1 Pro.
Yes. No, I had a Veta back then.
Oh,
It was terrible.
Yeah.
They were
Hard
bad.
plastic. I had a Veta also.
Yeah. But I always bought you the helmet and the color and the style you wanted because I was like, okay, if we want this guy going out wearing something that he's going to feel cool in. My parents made me wear a helmet to school in grade school, and I got laughed off the playground.
Well, they now have CTE.
The kids?
Yep.
Yeah.
They do.
And they are lashing out at the people that they know.
No, they're lashing out at random objects in their homes because they can't recognize them from real people.
Exactly. Not. I mean, no offense to people with
Not
the
to
actual
make fun of
condition. Like, it's a big deal.
Oh,
obviously.
we can't piss people off.
But also to answer your question, Paul, to me, I have found that price has equaled comfort. As somebody who went from a pair of
You do get what you pay for when it
You
comes
do.
to certain things.
You do.
Yeah.
the carbon sole, well irrigated, because we
Yeah.
all sweat.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is ventilated. Is the right word, but
Irrigated is a great word, though. I like irrigated better. It's just like because it makes you think of the water and
Yeah,
the
sweat's
smell flowing out. Yeah,
leaving
it's
your-
coming spraying out
So-
the back of your face.
Speaking of on shoes, for me, I've tried different manufacturers, and there's one that I prefer after going return back.
Yeah,
and I bought one of their upper end, and I was and I
you
still
can
have
say
it.
who they are.
It's CD.
Yes, I
And-
rode
and I
CD
do
for
not-
my entire youth. I
Yeah.
wouldn't buy any other brand.
Yeah,
for so many years.
I like them. They're nice
Yeah.
and narrow. I have narrow feet. I have high arches. All
Yeah.
that thing. But this particular one is just, I think it's too stiff. It sounds strange. And there
Really?
was one that was less expensive that I've had. It was the Genius. I had the original Genius, the Genius 2, Genius 4, 5.
Yeah.
And this came in, and I thought, you know what? I'm an adult now. I can afford a $400 pair of shoes. And I was like disappointed. I mean, they're not like the cruel shoes, where they have
Yeah.
razor blades putting your toes in
Yeah.
different directions and holding Steve Martin.
Yeah,
And so, but they're just not that comfortable, and they're just almost too stiff. for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because like my big toe on the longer rides will on both of them,
Little
or just
numb.
be
Wow.
yeah. It's just not. It's unfortunate. I'm not sold on the BOA
Yeah.
all that much. So
I am.
I like the ratchet.
I like
the
it.
ratchet was perfect, nice.
Yeah, click,
You
click,
know.
click, click, click,
Yeah.
click, click. Yeah, I like that too. That was a great design.
Yeah.
But I'm okay
But
with boas right
It's
now.
still, I mean, that's the Genius. I think is a $300 shoe or
Yeah,
$275, which is not cheap.
but that's not $600, $600.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm riding.
Like
Yeah.
Specialized.
You
has-
are, and they're
don't they have-
gorgeous shoes.
Yeah.
How about componentry and talking about this? The quote second or third tier end quote brands or models, and using, for example, Shimano. If I were to give a Shimano example, Dura-Ace versus Ultegra versus 105 versus and I remember when. In the early days of Shimano, a lot of the pros were riding 105 brakes because the rim brake was better performing body, not the brake body, not the levers.
Yeah.
They would buy a Dura-Ace lever and a 105 brake body, and there was a little bit of a weight difference, but it was a better grabbing brake. How are you guys in terms of, I know, Paul, you're on the highest realm of SRAM,
mechanical.
Jackson, you're on Ultegra, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Di2.
Yep.
I'm on Ultegra mechanical. Is that an expense you're willing to upgrade to go to the highest realm? Like, Paul, if you bought a new bike, would you be comfortable with what's Force? Yeah.
With the new Force came out, I think I'd be okay the way it's designed. I don't like some of the trends because I've worked as a mechanic and worked, in the business for a while. SRAM has non-replaceable chain rings, and that drives me. So if something happens to your chain rings, they wear out.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the new Force and the new Red, that's all one piece. You can't replace individual chain rings.
What?
That's the dumbest thing I've
They're
ever
all tied in.
heard.
So
Wow, I didn't know that.
and the other
That's
thing
crazy.
but their claim is that they last longer, whatever the material that they're using lasts longer than your.
I don't want to go all
soft
Tom
aluminum.
Bonin with Colnago here, but
Yeah.
that's
And-
that just sounds like a great way to have people spend a lot more money.
Well, and the problem is I know that manufacturers and it's not just cycling, but because we're talking about cycling, is you got to like taper down. You don't want all these variations in production that cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And when the pros can buy, even with Shimano and also with SRAM, you can get 55, 56 tooth chain rings, but only the pros can. But we have to run 50s and stuff. So the smaller the chain ring in the front and your cogs in the back, the more contact, the more frequency, there's going to be wear out, right? And there's also more drag because it has to wrap.
Yeah.
And that's why the pros use bigger when you look at it, like 62 tooth chain ring. But you got to look at
Victor
his cogs.
Campenarts. Yeah.
Then you got to look in the back what he's running back there.
Yeah.
Because if you think it's not anyway, I'm geeking out on the whole thing, but it's things will last longer. But that's part of an industry. Is like now you got to buy a whole crank. Now we were so used to buying just chain rings and stuff. So this is a direction that the industry wants to go.
But that's an incredibly expensive direction the industry is going.
So, and they have things to back up just real quickly. I think SRAM, when somebody complained about the non-replaceable, they said, well, we haven't had anybody. I think there's like a small, like 1% of those bikes sold in the last 3 years that needed to be replaced. So you think of the average guy who's buying the bike off the shelf every day, the dentist.
Yeah.
The anti-dentite you are.
I am an anti-dentite.
But, those people they're weekend warriors. But the problem that penalizes is the weekend racer like me, the amateur.
Yeah.
That's why I'm anti-disc, is because it just makes everything more complicated, more expensive, more, just replace or travel with a disc brake becomes more everything, know. But I'm at 60 years old, I'm probably 0.1% of the population that buys bikes. So of course I don't care what I think.
Well, you're the smart population.
Right.
Don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't do much.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
I mean, to transition kind of from what we were speaking about, I am the person who will always advocate, especially as at my age, I'm starting out kind of, I think that I'm the person who will always, probably for the rest of my life, suggest to get, unless you are going to win the biggest races on your local calendar, buy Ultegra, buy 105.
One step down.
Right.
Yeah.
Because anymore, they're all electronic. So really, you're just focusing on weight. And I've looked at this shit a lot. And so I honestly haven't. I've watched a video from the people at GCN to show you the difference between the weights in 105 and Ultegra and Dura-Ace. Yeah. And I mean, I'm speaking from Shimano because that's what I know. And it's so minimal that it's not really worth the price, is what I've found. And they're all going to shift the same. They're all going to perform nearly identically. However, you're just willing to sacrifice weight. And to me, as somebody who is hoping to race here and there, that is such an attractive sight to me, because I don't need to spend an extra $10,000 on a bike that is already costing me $12,000.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that for me, it's not really worth nickel and diming it, just because you're not really shedding. You're not losing that much to the person who has Dura-Ace or the highest end, because they're all going to shift the same. In a crit, it's not going to make a difference
until you crash, and then you're crying your way back to your BMW.
Right.
I just broke the
Well, to reiterate your point, there's a lot of pro teams that will run, if they even have Dura-Ace, they'll use the Ultegra cassette in the back. I mean, the weight difference is, because
it's so minimal.
Yeah, and they do wear out. They ride them hard, and it's a lot cheaper. Overall, those that aren't sponsored by Shimano, and they buy their Grupo. That's what they usually do. And a lot of people say Ultegra performs like Dura-Ace.
Yeah,
like almost identical. It just weighs a little bit more.
Yeah,
105, a slight penalty, even more in weight. I mean, it performs well, but it won't last as long. That's the thing. But for the average, like getting back to the average guy who goes out and buys a bike, he doesn't need that $15,000 bike. He can get that 105 bike, and you will never know the difference because you ride, 1 day, 2 days a weekend from June to August.
You hear that, Dr. Spalding?
Well, and even to dovetail off that, I've had the current bike that is on my trainer is my aluminum Trek that I mentioned before.
Yeah,
it has never had a chain replaced. It has never had a chain ring replaced. It has never had any single.
Don't now.
It has,
because those suckers have got to be so sharp thinned out.
Has not ever. I repeat, ever in my entire life riding this bicycle skipped a gear. And it is.
And he had it since he was like.
I've had it
teenager.
for almost 10 years.
Oh
This
my
bike
God.
is 105.
Don't put a new chain on there.
unreliably-
Because
It'll skip like a
it'll be
motherfucker.
But
It'll-
of course,
yeah.
of course.
Don't ever.
And never.
Yeah.
Just
But it is.
once you do, we're just hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
Just
But what I'm saying is
original.
the longevity of this stuff is
Yeah.
way longer than
Yeah,
we
yeah,
really
yeah,
put a price tag on it.
Yeah. Now we didn't mention Campagnolo. Paul would now, because let's be honest, Campagnolo is a gigantic price point. Would you ride Campy if you could, Paul? Now,
Probably
no
not so
offense,
much.
Jackson. I'm not asking you this question because you've never ridden Campy.
I'd give a quick answer. It'd be no.
No,
Yeah.
you wouldn't. Really? Okay. Okay.
I think nowadays, no. I don't think I would.
Really?
And the reason is because they have their own little niche, and that's fine. I think that, to me, my focus even at 60 is to race and to get a wheel change. If it's not,
Oh,
I
good
mean,
God.
so
Yeah, I didn't even think
There are
about
so
that.
many
Yeah,
other
yeah,
things
yeah.
that are involved, and
SRAM and Shimano are pretty close.
Yeah,
you could probably
they are.
you
They
could
are
ride.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
You'll have a couple gears to go a little bit, but that's about
in
it.
10 speed, you could get. I could put a Shimano 10 in there, and even a Camper would work.
Yeah,
And once they hit 11, the spacing came off.
It just messes it up.
And now too, because if you're going 12 speed with a new bike, mechanical is gone.
Yeah.
Mechanical because the tolerances are so small. I mean, well, that's why SRAM and Shimano are not even offering it.
Yeah.
I'm sure they can make one, but you're not doing yourself a favor.
Yeah.
And I know Campy's had a problem with their mechanical 12 people setting up. It's like, whew, this is a headache.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't think I would touch it anymore.
If I won the lottery tomorrow, I don't think I would ride it.
Yeah, I probably
I
wouldn't.
don't
And
think
it's
I would do
unfortunate
it.
because I want them to succeed, but I
Oh,
don't see it.
It's
And I've had several
you
Campy
see bikes with Campy and they're just rolling works of art. And I spent my entire youth riding Campagnolo built bikes. Absolutely the best shit in the world.
That operative word though is niche that you mentioned.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so specific to a specific
Niche,
bike,
niche,
specific
yeah.
rider. It's whatever, however you say it, niche,
yeah.
niche. It's too specific to just be able for every rider to have it.
Yeah. So let's play around with some absolutely penny pinching things. How many uses for a tube? Are you guys one and done, or are you patch and reuse?
I'm a one and done.
I'm a one and done.
I used to patch. Now I'm one and done.
Okay, good to know. How many uses for a water bottle? How long do you keep water bottles, guys? Do you hold on to them even though you see a little black brown stuff in the bottom of them, or do you pitch and-
Once the black and brown starts coming, that's when I pitch them. I had a couple of scratch water bottles, my favorite water bottles that got that got that spotting in the bottom, and they had to go.
I bought 8 scratch water bottles probably 10 years ago. I still have them.
The whole
Not
inside's
all
furry.
of them. I think
Yeah.
I've got. One got so bad. I mean, just marred up and stuff.
Yeah.
But I always clean mine.
Yeah.
I stay on top of mine, to be honest with you. But one's for our dog when we go for walks on the hot days. So I mean, it was getting too rancid.
All
But
right.
yeah, water bottles I even it's hard for me in a race to toss it because I'm like, oh dang.
Yeah.
And they're probably the cheapest thing you can buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're kind of
Here's a sponsor test right now. Sponsor test. Let's see if they're listening. Hey, Scratch, we ride with your bottles. Send us some bottles.
That's all I ride with.
Send us some
But
bottles.
all I
you remember
ride
that
with.
silly little video I did of Warriors?
Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
it come out and play.
Come out.
Yeah.
to
Those
play,
are the water
yeah.
bottles still that I have,
Yeah.
and I still have 2 brand new I haven't even used yet. And this is probably what they don't want to hear. It's like, dang, you know, it's
No,
like we
you're
want
saving
to
them.
turn them over.
It's
No,
like it's like the China.
Yeah.
You're saving them for a really special
That's
occasion.
right.
Yeah. I call it special.
do you
occasion
keep your
bottles.
water bottles?
Absolutely, I do. Until my wife looks at me and says, "Pat, come on, throw them out." I mean, now mind you, I have a bag of water bottles from the 80s that my father gave me. Like that System U bottle, like old race bottles and stuff like that my father actually gave them to me, and I have some of them, from my old days that were back in the days when races, you'd go to a race and they'd give you a commemorative bottle.
Oh, that'd be
so
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
I got
And you
one
had
from
those.
on the TT that I did
Did
for
ya?
state championship. Yeah, it's a Turtle Bloom drink.
Yay!
Yeah, it came in my little packet.
Oh, that's cute.
And you know what? And I'm not going to bash the bottle you got because I don't know anything about it. But they were good quality. Specialized was the main manufacturer of bottles back
that,
then, and they were always good water bottles. So you just use the shit out of them. And I wish we could go back to that right now, where people just.
I'll trump your old water bottles. I have from 1989. A Musette from Tour de France and a Coca-Cola, because they Coca-Cola Musette.
Oh, yeah.
They sponsored it. I have the Musette, and then I also have a water bottle. Foolishly, I used once just because it was a tour, and so I marked up the bottle. But it was the old plastic cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have some of those. We're not going to go down the rabbit hole of who has more useless shit in their house, because unfortunately I think I would probably crush it. If you guys had limited money, limited budget to spend on a bike, $1 million, what would you spend on a bike? And I think I have an idea of how you guys are going to answer this.
So you're saying like price range? Like what's the most amount of money you would spend on a bike?
You could go out and spend. You could buy what's the most expensive bike? I'm thinking it's
The
around
Bianchi, the new Bianchi's run.
Bianchis?
Yeah, with the little aerodynamic foils that are
Yeah,
illegal that you have to remove.
Oh,
I think
God.
that and probably
The Pinarellos are high.
22s.
and also the
22,000.
S-Works.
Are they?
Yeah.
So what are we saying around price range for those? Do you think
15
right now?
grand.
15, 18
15,
grand.
16
Yeah.
grand.
Even more. I think
So would you go full bore and spend 15, 18 grand, or would you save 15, spend it on two bikes?
I see. That's a good point. I think I would go for a high quality, but maybe not top of the line, two bikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on a $7,000 bike, I think. I think that's what I'm on.
I don't know.
Yeah, you are. No, you're on a little bit more than that. You're on
Right.
about 9.
Right. And so I think I would do, maybe I could see, it's tough for me because a large part of me is saying just go for the highest end road bike you can.
See, I hate
you can grab.
super bikes. I despise them.
See, you hate them, and then you ride them.
I would love to have two super bikes. I mean, a super bike and a normal bike completely painted without labeling, and try to see if I could tell a difference. It's like tasting wine. Oh, this tastes expensive. Well, it's Mad Dog, you dumb shit.
As somebody though who rode the quote unquote lower grade materials,
Sure.
for as long as I did, you hit carbon and you know
Yes, absolutely.
what a fine wine tastes like.
But carbon manufacturers are, let's be honest, carbon manufactured bikes are coming from like 4 different places these days.
Yes.
And there is not that gigantic amount, and I could be getting yelled at for this, but there's not that big of a difference in all the carbons, especially the high ends.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about, a high end Pinarello, which is 15, 18 grand. And you're talking about a high end Ridley, which is probably $5,000 less. So I think we've got a problem here, and that are you buying for brand recognition? What are you paying for? And I guess Pinarello, because they've won a shit ton of tours since the days of freaking Pedro Delgado,
And yeah.
Miguel Indurain, and those
Indurain,
days
yeah.
like that. So maybe they're just riding off of notoriety, and. I don't mean to bash the brands, because I am. I'm blatantly bashing the brands. But I think that a lot of people pay for an image, and they're not necessarily getting what they're paying for.
So I think full on, if we're answering this, I think I would get 2 almost top of the line bikes.
2 almost. Paul?
I'd do one, and I'd do it like the old days. I'd determine what frame just by research,
Yeah.
what I know. I'd buy a frame and I'd buy the
You'd
parts.
piece it.
I'd piece it together
That'd
so
be-
I can get what I
yeah.
want. And, you know, like I'm not sold on these semi-compact drivetrains. They drive me insane.
Yeah.
People, well, a 4810 is equal to a 5311. And it's like, yeah, but again, we have like, what's your drag? And
Yeah.
I'm not a big watt saver, but
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to me. Just give me what I'm used to. So I'd pay the extra bucks to get a pro chainring set and set it up the way I want it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay, last two things in terms of cycling and finances. How about racing on the cheap? We know entry fees are pretty much non-negotiable, but talk to me about traveling, eating, lodging, ways to get races and make it affordable. What ways do you guys? You know, Jackson, you can even relate to your soccer days, you know, or something like that. How do you find ways to make being a competitive cyclist affordable?
I mean, I think taking your own form of transportation is step one.
Sure. Carpooling also.
Yeah.
works wonderfully.
Yeah. And then, kind of pooling together some sort of accommodation. One thing that we were talking about with our team camp was we find an Airbnb or a VRBO or whatever.
Yeah.
But you all come together and pay that price.
Chip in. Yeah.
Which then...
The chip in.
Yeah.
Which then really does essentially kind of diminish a lot more like extra things that you have to worry about financially. But I mean, I guess those are, two things that I would suggest.
I can honestly say, and this is a personal recommendation from me. I have an RV, which is a great way to go to races. Do not camp before a bike race.
No, it's
It is
No,
the
it's
worst
terrible.
way it is the best way to perform poorly. To sleep in a tent and do all that.
It creates experience.
Bullshit.
I mean,
Yeah.
you've got stories,
Yeah.
but you're not
It's
going to perform.
absolutely moronic.
No. Yeah.
I remember traveling with people who brought, I think of an old teammate of mine who used to bring a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter, and that's what he'd eat. and that's great, but good for you. But holy shit,
Yeah.
how did that pay off? The carpooling was always great. We always just figured out. I keep thinking of like, Paul, you with your stories of going down to Arizona. It's like, who has the most fuel efficient car? Let's all pile into it and let's go. Now it's hard with wife and kids and stuff like that nowadays, but yeah, there are ways to make it happen.
Definitely.
Yeah, and like you were talking about sharing rooms or a hotel room.
Yeah.
We used to go down to La Grande. You had a stage race, and we'd like pretend there was only two people, and we'd like file in people, and somebody, hey, you got a spot on the ground?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it was, and I know that
Could you sleep on the floor today, Paul?
probably
In
not
somebody's
because
hotel
I'm old and rust. But I do
I don't
like
know if I
hard.
could either.
My bed.
Jackson couldn't
way.
either.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
My bed is so hard, I probably wouldn't even notice. So it is. I mean, it's a sleep number bed, and I've got it up to 100. My wife's at 35.
Oh my god!
Whoa.
So, and I'm like, it's a little soft.
Falling off a cliff.
Yeah, but maybe it's all those years racing and sleeping on hard floors.
That's why his back's so goddamn flat when he rides.
Yeah.
It's just like,
That's
sleep
it.
on plywood.
But I think there's several things like that. It's good to have a team to go and try and keep regional. I mean, there's
Food is
there's
a great way to do it too. Food, everybody collectively buy a bunch of food. And
yeah.
a couple
I mean,
people,
if you got a place so you can prepare it
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that type of thing, and there is ways. Food is a big expense, and you remember the days where like stage races at Washington Trust Classic, people
Yeah.
would house you. You would just
Yeah.
go to the promoter and say, I just need a place to stay, and people were more than glad to do it. It was
Yeah.
for free, and they usually fed you.
yeah,
And they provide whatever you want, and they were there. It's nice. You can do your laundry there.
Yeah.
So, those are the things. But I think on the personal level, maintenance on your bike is huge.
Yeah.
You can save tons of money on that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Shop
I mean,
space.
every time you get a chance, like I strip down my bike 2 times a year. It's going to be coming at the end of this month, and then in June or July, I'll strip it back down. All new cables, all new
Wow.
brake pads,
Yeah.
everything.
yeah.
I think a smart thing that we did last year was before we had our RC3 in late May, early May, mid-May, whatever May.
May.
Mid-May.
Yeah, Dad, you and I, we went into my bike and we made sure that it ran well.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really smart thing to do, especially before race. You make sure everything works. You don't have to worry about it on the day. So I think that was really helpful.
Do it like a week ahead. Get a couple of rides in.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so you can just
we missed something.
I
Yeah.
bought a new chain
Yeah.
on my Trek from 1998.
It's skipping.
And all of a sudden nothing
shit.
works. Yeah, exactly. So the final question of the night, and this has to do with finances. When you see someone with a blank, you think to yourself, man, what a dipshit. He/she spent way too much. When you see someone with a blank, you think to yourself, man, what a dipshit. He or she spent way too much. What would be your answer to that fill in the blank question?
That's a good question.
I think it depends on the atmosphere. If it's at a race and I look at somebody like a Cat 4 on an S-Works SL7, it's like, seriously, dude. You don't, because if you look at the entries of 4s, and then how many in 3, I mean, the kill ratio is pretty low. I mean, high. So survival rate's low. So you just dumped all this money.
Don't wear blood thinners, man.
Yeah.
I mean, take blood thinners. You're going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you are fully up to date, this is okay. You said specialized, and that's weird because I was thinking specialized. If you are fully specialized, kitted out, like if you have brand new helmet, brand new bike, brand new specialized everything, you did too much.
You got tricked by somebody.
You did get tricked because you spent a house payment on that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I feel.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it on the show. If Specialized like to come on and question my comments, I'm fine with it. I'm not a fan of Specialized. I haven't been for a long time. I interviewed the guy who created the Roubaix bike shop, and Specialized sued him for it. Mm-hmm. They don't own the name of Roubaix. I'm not a fan of it, of what they've done. Now, this company started in the United States and started a long time ago, and they started a grassroots program, but I don't think that's what that company is anymore. Right. And I'm not a fan. I will not, as of today, I will not ride a Specialized bike.
The Walmart
or any other components. No, I think they build beautiful bikes.
So do I. I mean,
but I'm not a fan of it.
I used to sell Specialized.
Yeah.
They were the easiest sell ever.
Really?
Specialized is fantastic with marketing,
Yeah.
and that's why they are top
very
dogs.
good at it.
And simple
and you
little
see
things.
how many bikes they're having the Pro Peloton. I mean, that's
do.
marketing. Yeah.
And everything. They really do. They sell people on. They don't do heavy gimmickry, but they'll push a certain way and pull back, and they know how to say like their new Revol wheels. They were supposed to be tubeless, but they had problems. So they said, no, they're clincher only.
Yeah.
And then they became last year. I'm talking about Sedal Quick Step.
Yeah.
right.
So last year they were on the tubeless, and then now they're back to clinchers because they know how to word things. They know how to. They've got like an army of people to make it look right. And one of the things selling this stuff is like even their tire irons, just to remove the tire and stuff, pry babies.
Yeah,
and it's like,
names.
oh,
Brilliant
God.
names. Yeah,
I mean, it's like I could sell people just saying, Specialized has theirs. People get a chuckle. Oh, grab those.
Yeah.
And they're on top on color.
Give me
they're always
10.
on
Yeah.
top on
Yeah.
style.
Oh, but these ones are blue.
Yeah.
The reason why I said the Walmart of bicycles is not because of the quality. They are
The size.
Exactly. And are they the
Okay.
little guy killer?
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
That
And
makes
they
a
would like to
lot
kill
of
the
sense.
little guy.
Exactly.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. By the way, if I see someone with a time trial bike, I think to myself, what a dipshit. They spent way too much.
I get mine for $1,000.
I know, but
and it's
you-
used
you-
parts. And
Yeah, no, you see a new one maybe, I guess, because unless you're a triathlete, you don't have any reasons to own a time trial bike around here.
With all this said,
Yeah.
if you are riding a Specialized, we don't think of you less.
Oh,
We
bring
just-
it. I like publicity. Yell at me. I don't have a heart anyway.
they're good riding. I've ridden their bikes. They're good riding bikes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think they're overpriced, and I think that they do a hell of a job
That's it. Yeah.
of marketing,
Yeah.
which I don't like over salesmanship.
Mind you and I are riding a very niche, expensive
Yeah.
brand, so
You
where
guys
do we
are.
have to stand on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, you can get yours anyway.
But
Yeah.
that company produced used to produce a lot of specializers. They
Yeah,
used to make the specializers.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the diva doesn't listen anymore.
He doesn't?
No, I don't think he does because, I mean, the other day he told me that, hey, my girlfriend told me you have a heart condition. I'm like, it's been on the show for a month. And then he told me in another text later, and by the way, this is, if Carson, if you're listening, you and I need to talk because he also, in another text, told me that I need to slow down in life. Life is going to slow down now. You know, I say that before I sign off for the show, before I tell everybody to subscribe, and to follow the show. You know what I say to slowing down to life? Fuck you. Catch you next week.